So good afternoon to our one and all present here. Thank you for joining this workshop on breast cancer awareness and women's health. Today we have with us Dr. Soumya Dwivedi, who will be hosting this workshop. She is the director of Cura Diagnostic and Research Center Bhopal and has been certified by Fetal Medicine Foundation UK, accrediting her to world level standards for scanning pregnant women. She has also received several gold medals at many reputed national and state conferences and is the only person in Central India who has earned an IOTA certification for women imaging. She came up with a social initiative called Inner She in 2018 in order to empower as many women and girls as possible with the knowledge of their bodies and well-being. Till now, she has empowered and educated more than 5,000 women in Madhya Pradesh. Ma'am, we are extremely honored to be a part of this workshop by you. Thank you for doing this online for the students of NIFT Mumbai, and the stage is all yours.
Thank you so much, Khyati. A very hearty good afternoon to all the beautiful ladies and to the ladies who are going to join lately. So before I would start, I would like to take this opportunity to thank NIFT Mumbai and all the enthusiastic students who have chosen this health talk and chosen me for this special day as your person. So thank you so much. So to start with, I have always believed that we women are the core essence of the society. From being a baby to being an old wise lady, we have so many roles to play in our lives. And being a lucky mom myself of two beautiful girls, I'm honored and fortunate to take this health talk with you all with only one motive. And that motive is for a healthier future of us women, to create more awareness for a healthier and a progressive. So this is a very interactive talk. So everyone must be knowing the raise hands button. It's in the reaction tab below. So I'm going to ask you several questions because you have asked me a lot of questions. So I want you to be a part of this workshop so that it's really fruitful for each and everyone attending today. So the first question is a little tough, but let me start my presentation first. Minimize this. Yes. So the first question goes like this. Can you tell me who are these two ladies? Does anyone know in the audience? Please speak up if anyone knows about them. These are two very important ladies who have contributed for our society. Anyone? No, none? Okay, so I'll go ahead and answer. She's Geeta Majunatha and Nidhi Mathur, founder of Niramai Foundation, and they have used artificial intelligence for low-cost screening of breast cancer. Since we are dealing in October, it's a breast cancer awareness month, so using artificial intelligence, they've created a very basic screening protocol so that no woman is missed on the ride on expenses, because mammography is an expensive procedure, so everyone can't take up that. So they've created a software where you can detect breast cancer at the earliest. So a lot of women in our era are doing great work, and it's definitely inspiring for all of us. I feel, especially all of you being non-medicos, you can innovate something new and better for the society. Even NIFT Mumbai students, you have a really big role to play. You provide comfortable clothing and confident atmosphere for all the doctors like us and for lovely women outside. So all of us are contributing our parts to the betterment of the society. Likewise, women are also. So our vision with this program, Inner She, is to make as many women aware about their health and their choices so that you can intervene and take control of your problems anytime. So the answer, my next question over here is, one thing which you think is the most important character that dominates you. So this is a question which I want you to think about. Who are we? I'll give you an example what I'm looking for. For example, some of you who are attending over here can feel that they are strong women. Some of you can feel that they are tough women, or maybe a champion at probably everything or something, or a founder of something great, or probably just a visionary. So tell me, what is that one quality you feel, dominates you? Anyone? Kathy, you start. What is that one quality you feel defines you?
I think I'll be all about empathy.
Oh, okay. What about others? Can everyone open the webcams if they're okay? No judging. I would like to see and connect with you guys. So, Kirti, can you answer? What kind of women, what is that one quality you think dominates you? Is she there? Anyone else? Nishta, what do you think is that one quality which dominates you? Okay, never mind.
If no one is comfortable, we can all just put it in the chat box as well. That's also fine with us. And if you are comfortable and okay, then please turn on your cameras. It'll be very nice.
It doesn't matter you're dressed up or not. Don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
it doesn't. It absolutely doesn't matter.
See. All right, no problem. So
Okay, we have
one
Maurishi in the chat box. She says she identifies with the word strong.
strong. All right, great. But that one quality which I want all of you to tell me is you are a healthy woman. And if you are a healthy woman, you'll be a happy woman. This is one thing, one quality which I want that everyone should be defining themselves with is a healthy woman. So I feel if any one of you has that quality, you feel you are healthy, you're fit, that means you are aware of your body status, you're aware and you are doing best for your body. So that is one thought I want you to ponder upon. So now you see, healthy women make healthy communities. And I believe we are all the core essence of life. Therefore, we don't want our boyfriends or fiancés or husbands or even parents to take care of us anymore, right? We are going to take a step forward from today on and we're going to be aware of our bodies, right? So to start with, the two most important organs in a woman's body, as you know, are her uterus and her breasts. So these are the two most common issues encountered during the second decade, which I feel the audience today is around. So I'm going to cover mostly on the uterus and ovaries part and the breast part. So the common problems which are encountered are the period problems, which can be irregular periods. We're going to talk in detail about it. Second is breast tenderness or breast lumps, which are very commonly found in the second decade, that is 20s years. Even pregnancy related issues, contraceptive related issues, a lot of problems being seen these days. So we're going to talk about these things. So tell me your issue, and I'm not talking about the tight bras or the issues about our friends, but I'm talking about the main important issues, like if you are having any menstrual trouble, any constipation or bloating which is not going away, any abdominal pain or any the pain if you are sexually active, any contraceptive intake in history, disturbing your menstrual cycles, any lumps in your breast. So answer me, if you think that you are facing any of these issues, are you aware that this is normal, abnormal in your body? Anyone? You can write in the chat box as well. Anyone? You can share. This is a safe zone. So you can share if you think that, you are facing any period troubles, any breast troubles. I'm open to, yes. So one of our attendees have told that they are suffering from PCOD, and one of our friends have suggested that they are having painful periods. So do you think that, these kind of symptoms in your body is normal? This is normal or abnormal? Do you have an understanding about that? That is understanding which you should gather. Because if you have gathered that this is abnormal, then the next question goes to the fact that, have you done something about it? Have you visited a doctor or gotten an ultrasound done for yourself? That is one question which you need to think, because that is a line of demarcation which will distinguish you from being healthy. Because if you have done something about your body and your symptoms, you've gotten yourself checked, that means you are aware. And those of you who still are figuring out what is happening in your body, this lecture is for you. So let's go ahead and see what do we have in store. So I've tried to simplify things for you. In period troubles, you know, the main problem, there are two types. Okay. So the periods can be of a prolonged or a delayed cycle, or it can be intermittent or frequent cycle. So what does that mean? Intermittent or frequent periods means कि आपको periods कैसे आ रहे हैं? आपको periods जल्दी आ रहे हैं. It's coming frequently in a month, twice or maybe thrice, or you're continuously spotting. So that is called as intermittent or frequent period. And a prolonged or a delayed cycle is जब आपके period miss हो जाए, या आपको 2 months में periods आए, और 3 months में periods आए, 40 days में periods आए. So these are called as delayed cycle or prolonged period. But for that, do you know what is the normal range of your menstrual cycle? So there's a range in which your period cycle should fit for any woman. That is between 25 days to 34 days. अगर आपको periods every 25 to 34 days के बीच में आ रहे हैं, that means it's okay. And if not, if your periods are getting above, you're getting your periods above 35 to 40 days, that means your periods are delayed. If you're getting earlier, around 20 days, that's also wrong. So you need evaluation. So what are we going to see in these? So in prolonged or delayed cycles, the most common condition which I see in second decade is PCOS, or we call it as polycystic ovarian syndrome. And if not PCOS, if you are sexually active, it can be pregnancies also, which are unknown and many times being delayed. Third, prolonged or delayed cycle can be a thyroid problem, which we're going to talk about in the coming slide, which is also very, very common in India. Now, the next thing which causes intermittent or frequent periods can be a fibroid or a lump in your uterus. It can be adenomyosis. I'm going to tell you more about this. And it can be endometriosis too. So let's see what we're going to talk about first. We're going to talk about polycystic ovarian syndrome. And since I can't cover the entire list of diseases, I've tried to cover the most common ones that will interest you. So do you know that out of 10 women who are suffering from PCOS in India, 50% of them are undiagnosed, and 50% develop diabetes or pre-diabetic stage before the age of 40. It's a very, very sad fact, right? So you should know and do something about your PCOS. And how would you know? What is PCOS? PCOS, first of all, is not having cyst in your ovary, okay? But it is instead a a large ovary having multiple normal follicles in your ovary. So how does it happen? It's mainly genetic and hormonal imbalance in your body that finally causes reproductive problems. Okay, so that's why PCOS is very common and very common in urban population also for the women living in cities. I'm going to come to that. It's a very important fact. But how can you simply diagnose a PCOS? All you need to do is just an ultrasound. And sometimes you cannot diagnosed on ultrasound. So there are right. So what are the things which you should look for if you are suffering from PCOS? If you think you have any of these symptoms, you need further evaluation. So first and foremost, the most common complaint is I'm getting irregular periods. Now, irregular periods can be of two types. जैसे कि मैंने आपको बताया, if you're having a cycle of more than 35 days, or if you are having very less period flow, that is only आपको 1 day bleeding होती है, 2 day bleeding होती है, then also these are called as irregular periods. If you don't have menstruation for 3 to 4 months, then red flag, go get yourself assessed. If you have a lot of acne, suddenly developing weight gain, high blood pressure issues, excessive facial and body hair, and abnormal skin discolorations, these all can be a part of polycystic ovarian syndrome spectrum. So you need further evaluation with such things by an ultrasound and some blood tests. So this is a statistics which suggest why urban women are suffering from PCOS in day-to-day life. You can see all the factors, all the stats suggest what? First, family history is a very important aspect. That's why this disease is genetic, which is an unknown fact. So if your mother or your sister has been suffering from PCOS, then it's a good way to go about it, that you should also get yourself evaluated for PCOS before you develop symptoms too. Right. Second is very important these days. There's less physical activity, especially in pandemic era. Everyone is doing everything virtually and no moving around. That is one of the risk factors which induces PCOS. This was one of the questions which was asked in the panel. So I'm stating so. Stress is a very major factor which contributes to PCOS. So we have been very busy in our day-to-day life. The modern woman is a busy woman, handling family as well as work life, and to chill also we need some time, but there is no time. There's a lot of stress. So stress induces increased BMI, induces bad diet in your body, and thus induces PCOS. So one of the factors which does trigger PCOS is stress and less physical activity. Right. So what can we do about it? There's a famous dietitian, you must have heard her name, Rujita Divakar. She suggests avoid 3C policy for PCOD. First C includes caffeine. Second, chocolate. Third, cold preserved food. I know all three are very impossible to lose, with working women or an urban woman and females who are living in PGs and hostels. It's so difficult to avoid all these three C's, but these three C's are an inducing factor for PCOD. So you can remember this tip, right? So let's talk next about fibroids. Fibroids are also very commonly talked about. आप लोगों ने सुना भी होगा about fibroids. These are lumpy masses in a woman's uterus. So what happens with fibroids is, the sad fact is 70 to 80% of women will develop fibroids by the age of 50 years. So that's a very sad fact. That means a lot of women are suffering from fibroids lately. So and out of them, 3/4 of the women have severe impact in the day-to-day life. How? Because they have irregular periods, crampiness always, and pain in the lower abdomen. And that's why they can't function as active as the other women without fibroids can. So how can you detect a fibroid? You can easily detect a fibroid in your uterus via sonography. And I'm stating sonography because women की आधी से ज़्यादा problems तो sonography पे detect हो जाती है. And it is a non-painful process. It hardly takes 5 to 10 minutes. You have to just go visit your radiologist or a women imaging specialist who can diagnose your diseases if you have any symptoms. So once you have detected a fibroid, you can get dedicated treatment regarding where your fibroid is. A fibroid can be inside the lining. This is the endometrium. You can see over here, this is the uterus. This is the endometrium. It can be inside the lining, and that's why causing you period trouble, or it can be inside the muscle also, intending or creating pressure on the lining of the endometrium and causing period troubles. Sometimes fibroids are growing outside the uterus and surrounding, pushing the bowel and the urinary bladder, causing you symptoms like frequency of urine or constipations or bloating. So that's why a sonography can evaluate all of those things. It can evaluate your symptoms and give you a good diagnosis. So you can go ahead, get one done. Now let's talk about one of the topics which I feel has been recently lot been diagnosed in young women, especially from 18 to 25 years of age group. That is endometriosis. Now you wouldn't have heard this term a lot, but 1 in 10 women suffer from endometriosis. And endometriosis is graded to be one of the most painful diseases, even more painful than cancer. So endometriosis is a disease which affects women of reproductive age group. So anyone who started chumming, anyone who started menstruation can suffer from endometriosis. So what is this endometriosis? When you have an intense kind of pain in your lower abdomen during your periods, or a cyclical kind of pain during your periods, one point, long menstrual cycles, your period is not stopping for 10 days. If you have a long nausea, vomiting, or lower backache, and eventually it causes infertility, these are some signs and symptoms of endometriosis. So what is endometriosis? It is basically जो अंदर की lining होती है, the uterus has a lining called as endometrium, which sheds every month and causes your menstrual cycle. So when that shedding is happening, the endometrial cells go and implant anywhere in your body organs, and when they get implanted in abnormal sites, you get a lot of pain and lot of irregular periods, and that is what is called as endometriosis. Some genetic link is associated with the endometriosis. It can be passed from hereditary line, but still the research is going on those aspects. So it can again be diagnosed easily on an ultrasound. All you need to do is give yourself 5 minutes, go to a doctor and get yourself scanned if you have any of these symptoms. Now let's talk about pregnancy. I know it's one of the most sensitive topics to talk about, but I always believe that the power to decide if and when to get pregnant is in the hands of women. So even at a young stage, you should be aware of the facts, how contraception works and what happens in your menstrual cycle. Let me state a fact to you that 45% of pregnancies in India are unplanned. This is a fact, and this 45% is a very big number. So for say, if I see 30 participants already joined in, so 15 of you would have been unplanned. See, so it's a very big number. So use a contraceptive you are comfortable with. Know your options. Now this is a topic which has not been talked about, and especially before marriage, there are very less families who believe in talking about and teaching their girls about contraception. I feel it's very, very important, because finally it's your choice whether you are sexually active or not. So you should know your options, right? So there are various options available in contraception these days and are easily available. So first option which you have heard about is a pill. So you can go on monthly pills also, especially the people who are suffering from PCOS. They're already given oral contraception because we are externally inducing hormones, and that's why pregnancy has been avoided. Second, the most common thing which you can find over pharmacies is using a condom, a physical barrier. Now condoms are available both for females as well as males and are pretty good. Third is a diaphragm or cervical cap. Then there are patches also. You can use them monthly. Then there are injectables also. You can ask a gynecologist about it and take, every quarterly you can take these injections. Now the most common question which I usually get when I talk about contraception is, which is the best contraception? Can anyone answer me? Which is the best contraception you think should be used? Anyone? In chat box. Do you think it's a pill or it's an injectable? What do you think is the best contraception you should be using? So I would like to tell you that it's a physical barrier. This is the most common question I've been asked everywhere I take my lecture is physical barrier is the best method. However, there is 99% safety in it, but 99 is pretty good because we are not injecting any hormones in your body. See, once you take any hormonal supplements from outside, then your menstrual cycle is going to get disturbed, and eventually, stuff will start developing up in your body. So physical barrier is the best and the easiest and the cheapest form of contraception available, and it's pretty good to use, easy to use. So opt for the right choice which you are comfortable in. Now, once that you have decided, or your friend for say has decided, okay, I want to get pregnant or I don't want to get pregnant. So this is a very important colorful wheel which you should remember. Every girl has this wheel called as the menstrual cycle wheel, and it has 3 phases: the follicular phase, ovulation, and luteal phase. So what is the important part in it is, how does this wheel function? So for example, over here we are taking around 28-day cycle. So the first day of the cycle will be the first day of your periods. So you count your wheel from there. So from 1st to 11th is your follicular stage, where you are not fertile. So you can have you can use barrier method, but here your egg is not rupturing, and this is the time when you are menstruating. Okay, so you can't get pregnant in this phase. Second phase is the ovulation phase, where you're highly fertile. So that is around 12 to 16 to 18 days, depending from cycle days, 28 to 30 days. So around 12 to 18 day you are ovulating. That means you're highly fertile. You should be very cautious. And from there on, from the 18th day to the 28th day, your luteal phase is happening. That means your lines again building up for your next period cycle, and you are infertile in that. So that's also a safe time. So this wheel is very important, even when you don't want to be pregnant, and even when you decide that, okay, I want to go ahead with a pregnancy. This wheel You should always remember the menstrual cycle wheel. It's a colorful wheel. And that's how you will know now that, okay, this is the time in my cycle, and that's how you can plan things ahead. Right. So now that I'm giving you a scenario, it's a very common scenario which I feel, girls face these days. Even when we were in college, everyone was very confused about this thing. So just giving you an example, now that one of your friends, one of your best friends have come up to you and she said, oh no, now I missed my period, I'm pregnant, and she is totally, confused and misguided because she's gotten so many opinions from all the friends. She is not ready to talk to her parents about it, not ready to go to a doctor, but she's come to you because you're the best friend and you are her knight in shining armor, and you're going to suggest her the right thing. So what is that one thing which you will suggest her? She's missed her periods. What should she do now? She doesn't want this pregnancy. What should she do now? Anyone would like to answer it? I'm sure this is a very common scenario and you have faced sometime in your life about this issue. Consult a doctor. Great. Thank you so much, because this is absolutely the right thing to do. You must consult a doctor, because first and foremost, the most common answer which I see in my patients day to day in a 17-year, 18-year-old girl who's pregnant is, I've already taken a pill. Okay, I got pregnant and I took a pill on my own. I didn't consult a doctor, and the baby is still inside because the pill which she had taken helps to build up the pregnancy better instead of avoiding the pregnancy. So this is the most common scenario which we face day to day. And instead of going for abortion, which is totally your choice, but you have helped the pregnancy to grow stronger by taking progesterone. So always the right answer is to consult your doctor, because the stage of pregnancy decides what kind of treatment you want to opt for. All right. It's also a very important fact that you should remember: if you are taking an emergency contraception, that pill works only within 72 hours. And if anything, after 72 hours, that pill is only going to help your pregnancy to boost up and not avoid it. Remember this fact. Okay. All right. So fine, if you have gotten pregnant, we have to deal with it. There is no need to hide now. We don't live in that era anymore where we need to be shy and not consult doctors. Doctors are available to help you. You can go with your friend. It's the best when you can talk to your parents, but if you can't, then it's okay, it's fine. But there is no need to be confused, and don't take opinion of your friends, please. I know they're your best friends, they're your buddies, but find a doctor you can trust and you can talk about whatever issue it is. The doctor is not going to judge you. Nothing's going to happen to the doctor. Doctor is not going to call your father or your mother and explain all the scenarios. So please trust a doctor. Go ahead, take an opinion and take the right medication at the right time, because after all, the only thing you should worry after sex is how soon you can do it again, and not about pregnancies, right? Just on a lighter note, don't judge. All right, so next we're going to talk about thyroid. Now, 1 in 10 Indians are at risk of suffering hypothyroidism. So hypothyroidism is kind of an endemic disease already in India. Okay, almost 42 million Indians suffer from thyroid diseases currently. And what is this thyroid? Thyroid is like this butterfly shaped gland in your neck, and the hormones are being stimulated by the brain. So there's a small pituitary peanut sized gland which secretes all these hormones. And thyroid does alter your period cycle also, and that's why you see a lot of girls with delayed period cycles and a lot of bloating, water retention, having hypothyroidism. So it's a very common disease in India, and it should be caught easily. If you are suffering any of these 3 symptoms commonly, that is weight gain, fatigue, and kind of depressed feeling and lethargic feeling, please go get your thyroid checked. And how do you get it checked? By a simple blood test of thyroid profile. You can go get it done. But there is a variation also in thyroid which is seen commonly in India, and more than 9 out of 10 are diagnosed with hypothyroidism, having an autoimmune thyroid problem, that is Hashimoto's disease. So if you are suffering from hypothyroidism, go get further checked for Hashimoto's, because that needs a separate treatment. So that's about thyroid. And what are the symptoms now you will remember if you are suffering from hypo or hypothyroidism? Hypo being the more common one, but what happens is when the thyroid gland is underactive, then hypothyroidism, and when it's functioning, then hypothyroidism. In this gland, what happens is there is no sensitivity. So you're sitting in
Ma'am,
an
I think you need to adjust your mic. I think we lost your audio.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. I think it just got caught up in something. So there was a lag. Yeah.
Maybe a lag. Now it's okay?
Yes, it's fine.
Okay, I'll just put the buds. Thumbs up. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
This is better? Yeah? Shall I continue?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. All right. So in hypothyroidism, you have weight gain, fatigue, and sensitivity to cold, even constipation, and a lot of dry skin. So sensitively cold, what do you mean? I see so many girls, when we are in an AC room and you start feeling cold, get your thyroid checked, because that's one of the very common symptoms of hypothyroidism. And when this gland is functioning overly, there's hyperthyroidism, then you'll have trouble sleeping, popped up eyes, high blood pressure, lot of sweaty skin, and fine and brittle nails. So if you are suffering from any of these diseases, you're just a blood test away to detect your problem. And the important part is thyroid is totally treatable. All right. Approximately, the women in India are 3 times more prone to develop hypothyroidism. Why? There are a lot of factors, but important fact for you to remember is approximately 11% of the urban population have thyroid diseases. All right. And all of these thyroid diseases are totally treatable. There are 3 things here which you can avoid in your day-to-day life, like smoking, which is a risk factor for thyroid diseases, an artificial sweetener, and even stress, which you can't avoid. So what you can avoid is using artificial sweeteners and smoking. And what you can do to change your lifestyle is do regular monitoring of the thyroid gland if you have been once diagnosed with thyroid, and take the supplementary medication advised by your endocrinologist. Right. So next, I'm going to talk about something serious but very, very important. Can you see this tea bag? Can everyone see this tea bag?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
So a woman is like a tea bag. You never know how strong she gets unless she's dipped in hot water. So we just like that tea bag, and we can face all the challenges we have, and still be strong and a winner after this, right? So with that, I'm going to talk about cancers, suffering in women, which is one of the important topics we're going to cover today as well. So first and foremost, I want to talk about cervical cancer. But before that, I want you to answer me. Do you know where is the cervix in your body? Does anyone have an idea where is the cervix? Can anyone answer me that? In your chest, down, where? Anyone?
Ma'am, it's a hole. It's in the hole towards the vagina, and when you put your finger in, you can touch the tip of the cervix. It's like the point of your nose.
Very good. Correct answer. Thank you, Deepika. Thank you so much. So cervix is where uterus, then there is a canal called as vagina. In between that part, okay, is the cervix. So cervical os definitely can be evaluated and touched when you can go through vagina, because vagina is a part which is open already. Okay, there's a thin line of hymen, which some women have and some don't have. That's also a negotiable topic. So let's not go there. But when you go through vagina, then you see the cervix and then the uterus. So and then the tubes and then the ovaries. All right, so that's how the female genitalia is. And it's very important for you to know that this cervical cancer was among the #1 cancer in Indian women till 2008. but not anymore. The recent survey in 2018 in Indian statistics suggests that breast cancer has overpowered cervical cancer, and now cervical cancer stands at #2 position. But still, there are so many Indian women being undiagnosed and unaware what a cervical cancer is, and around 72,000 women die of this disease every year. So it's a very sad fact. So what are the facts which you need to remember? It's the second most common cancer affecting women. It is caused by a virus called as HPV or human papilloma virus. And regardless of any age, the female risk exposure to HPV can happen via skin contact also and via sexual intercourse also. Then what happens, what are the risk factors which you can avoid is an early sexual experience increases the chance of cervical cancer. Sexually transmitted diseases, sorry, like herpes and chlamydia, which is very, very common these days because of little unhygiene and using public toilets. These STDs can be easily transmitted. So if you are a long-standing case of untreated STDs, then you are at a higher risk of developing cervical cancer. If you have used a lot of contraception, these days we see a lot of girls popping in contraceptive pills. Then if you have used a lot of contraceptions also over years, then you can be at a high risk for cervical cancer. It's a fact that women who smoke are 2 times more for a high risk than a non-smoker. Then if you had a high number of pregnancies, which is not the factor these days anymore, but initially years, our grandparents and all used to have 6, 7, 7 pregnancies, then that also is an increased factor for cervical cancer. But if you've had multiple abortions also, that's also considered as one of the pregnancies. So that can be one of the aspects for an increased factor of cervical cancer. So, what symptoms which you should consider, you should remember if you need an evaluation for cervical cancer. First and foremost, if you're having vaginal discharge in an unusual form, like a greenish discharge or a bloody discharge, then if you have abnormal vaginal bleeding pattern, like your periods are over and still you're spotting, you need to get it evaluated. If you're having long menstrual cycle, like for 10, 12 days, you need further evaluation to see whether there's a mass inside. When you go to pee, if you're urinating and you have discomfort, then you can get yourself evaluated for cervical cancer, because on urinary bladder there can be pressure because of a cervical mass. If you have a lot of pain during intercourse, that is also not a good sign. You need further evaluation. And constant fatigue and loss of bladder control are one of the signs with pelvic pain in cervical cancer. Unexplained late weight loss is one symptom which happens commonly in all cancers and also in tuberculosis. So if you have any of these symptoms, then you should get further evaluated for cervical cancer. Now, my next question is, after this slide, be ready, because there are some facts I'm going to state, and then I'm going to ask you this, that WHO recommends that vaccination should be done for cervical cancer. Can anyone tell me what is the recommended age group for girls getting cervical cancer vaccine? Anyone? No? Okay, we're going to come back to that. I want you to raise hands. How many of you have gotten a cervical vaccine shot? Are you aware of that? How many of you have gotten a cervical vaccine shot? 1, 2, good. I'm seeing hands. Very less amongst the audience, yeah? So if you are unsure about the fact that you've gotten the shot or not, you must go today and ask back to your parents that whether you've gotten the cervical vaccine shot or not, because you can still go ahead and get that shot and be secure with cervical cancer. There is vaccine now available for cervical cancer, and you can totally avoid the development of such a disease. Okay, so the recommended age group for cervical cancer vaccine is it begins at 11 to 12 years. and you are still eligible. You all fall in this category of 19 to 26 years. You can still get, and even people who are above 27 years old, or before postmenopausally, you can get your booster doses, you can get your shots. So the FDA does not approve men to get cervical cancer vaccine because obviously, for obvious reasons, men don't have a cervix. And second, pregnant women can't get a cervical cancer vaccine shot. So that's that. So today you have to go back home, ask your parents if you don't know about whether you've got this shot or not. And if not, you can go to any gynecologist, any hospital, and start your dosage. It's just a very simple shot like this. And you just need to take it thrice in a monthly difference of 2 to 2 months. Depends on your vaccine also. But this is the most common vaccine available, Gardasil, which is available commonly everywhere in India. So go ahead, get yourself, screened also, and get yourself vaccinated for cervical cancer, because it is, after all, the second most cancers Indian women are suffering from. So what is this we're going to talk about? We're talking about Pap smear. So Pap smear kya hota hai? It's just taking a tissue sample of your cervix and getting it tested for any malignant or any atypical cells in your body. It just takes 5 minutes and it can prevent. It's like a screening test, like a mammogram for breast. It's like a screening test for cervix, and it's not painful at all. Once you've finished your cycle, you can go ahead till the 14th day and get yourself Pap smear done. Anyone who is above the age of 30, or if you are earlier sexually active also, you should get a Pap smear done yearly. And once your test is negative, your doctor can suggest you that 2 yearly, 3 yearly, whatever the results come to. So from that on, you can decide when to get your cervical screening done. So I'm sure there'll be very less number of cervical cancer screening, Pap smear to be done. Kisne karaya? Does anyone have an idea of Pap smear? So for the girls, especially, what we see these days is lot of, there's a lot of discharge happening. Vaginal discharge has been easily ignored. So if there's any kind of continuous discharge happening and you can't cure it, you must definitely get yourself evaluated for cervical cancer or cervical diseases. So a Pap smear can help you diagnose which kind of malignant disease is also happening. So Pap smear doesn't only tell you about the malignancy, but it also tells about other diseases, what kind of infection you are suffering from, and you can get specific treatment for that. Right. So let's talk about breast cancer. As you all know, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and it was, initially it was said that's the second most leading cause of death in women, but now is the first most leading cause of cancers all over world, be it a man or be it a woman. So the sad fact about breast cancer is that it's usually caught very late, because breast cancer is a silent killer. It does not have any symptoms initially, unless until you're very vigilant about your breast changes, which I'm going to talk about in the coming slide. 81% of women with breast cancer are diagnosed so late, and they're already at the age of over 50. And at that time, the diagnosis, the treatment is pretty difficult because the disease is already spread. So what is this? Can you see, all of you? Can you raise your hands? Everyone, can you raise your hands like this? Those who are, yeah. So what is this? This is a very important device which you have, This is called as the breast protection device which you have. So you can touch your breast, you can look your breast, and you can check them with this inbuilt device God has given you. And that is your hand. It's your breast protection device. And how to use that hand, I'm going to tell you. So this is how a self breast examination looks like. So every month you should do the self breast examination using your breast protection device, that is your hand. So you should fix a time of a month. Usually it's said that when you are menstruating, it's a fixed time. So you can put first day or the second day of your cycle as that day. And in your shower, you can do this checkup, or you can look in the mirror and get yourself checked by yourself. So what we have to do first, begin by looking at your breast, then raise both your arms up and see the armpit areas also for any changes. Then you should, use the opposite hand and feel your breast in a clockwise direction, like a clock goes on. So palpate, put pressure on your breast and palpate for any of the changes, which I'm going to show you in the coming slide. And then you should lie down also and see the area behind the nipple. That is a very, very important part in this examination. So this you have to do likewise in both sides of the breast, and that's how you will see very early changes. Also, you can catch the disease and get it cured. So these are the changes. This is a very great campaign which was run in 2018, and it goes by Know Your Lemons. And I really feel it's very useful for a layman to understand what kind of changes a breast is going through. So if you think that this lemon is your breast, and the point in between is your nipple, this is how exactly your breast will look like if it starts developing any changes for breast cancers. So you can have an area, a thick area, a lumpy area, a knotty area, right from a size of a peanut to a size of a TT ball. Then how we get dimples in our cheek. If you start developing dimples in your breast, that can be one of the changes. Then nipple crusting. If the nipple skin is started getting dry and crusty, then that is one of the red flags. If you feel that the breast is getting hot, that is your temperature of the skin is getting warm, then that is also a sign that some lesion is developing inside. If you're having any kind of new discharges, even a milky discharge or a red discharge or a green discharge from your nipple is not good. You should get it evaluated. Then if you're having pitting kind of sensation, that the pits are happening inside and the breast is not looking normal, then the other side, both breasts should look kind of identical. If one breast is looking bigger and bumpier, then you should evaluate it. Then you can have an orange peel kind of appearance, but that develops at a very later stage. So have you seen an orange, the peel of an orange? We call it pude orange appearance. So in breast cancer, that's a typical of a breast cancer. And if you obviously feel a very hard lump and that's not painful, then that's a red flag. You have to immediately rush to a doctor and get yourself screened. So this was one question which was asked to me in the panel, and I would like to answer it here, that how will you diagnose breast cancer at an earlier stage? With this self breast examination, with this breast protection device, that is your hand you have given by God. So use this, do the self breast examination every month and see for any of these changes which I have shown here. You can take a picture, you can Google it, and you can save that in your phone. And you must remember, you should rule out all of these changes. अगर आपको कोई भी slightest indication भी होता है नहीं कि कुछ problem है, then you should definitely go to your gynecologist, or you can directly go get yourself an ultrasound of your breast. Don't need to just opt directly for mammography also, because mammography is kind of painful. Ultrasound is not. You can get yourself examined. If you do have a family history of breast cancer or any other cancer like ovarian or colonic cancers in your family, in a first degree relative, like your mother or your sister or your mausies, these are second degree relatives. So if you have any family history positive, then after 30, every year, you should get yourself screened with a sonomammography for breast cancers. So talking about that, you must remember that you should take advantage of the routine mammograms now available. They're just x-rays of your breast, but they diagnose a small lesion also as small as 1 centimeter. I've diagnosed breast cancer as 0.5 centimeter also. We've treated and the patient is totally fine. So what is an important point for you to remember, since you're going to be great fashionistas, post college? So what is one point I want you to remember is there are some risk factors which you should remember. They do affect in developing and increase the risk of breast cancer. First and foremost, I want you to remember lack of sleep. Lack of sleep is a very important factor. I know even I love to Netflix and chill in the night, but lack of sleep, 8 hours minimum sleep you should get to avoid any chances of development of breast cancer. Then what you can do, you can have babies in time, and you can breastfeed them. Many ladies, since there's no time, they get busy with their work life, they choose not to breastfeed. Breastfeed does help in reducing the risk of breast cancer. This was also one of the questions which was asked to me. So yes, if you breastfeed your baby, your chance of breast cancer is pretty low. And if you have babies in time, then your body gets acclimatized and the development of breast cancer is pretty low. Then stress and air pollution, like me and Kathy were discussing before the lecture, air pollution is also one of the biggest problems. And air pollution is a very big high risk factor for developing of any carcinomas in human body. Lung cancers, yeah, but breast cancer also. And stress at work is one thing which I think you can't avoid, but I will give you a tip for that also in the coming slide. So yeah, so there is a screening protocol which Indian government, Indian medical science has already developed, and it says that 100 out of 1,000 women, if screened for a mammogram after 30 years of age, will return for an additional mammogram or an ultrasound, and 61 out of 1,000 will have an additional imaging and find that the breasts are okay. But 20 out of the 1,000 will find that there is some lesion, there is some problem in the breast, but that's not cancer. So they always recommended a 6 months watch. But 19 out of those 1,000 will have a minimally invasive procedure, a biopsy to check that lesion, and 5 out of those 1,000 will be diagnosed with breast cancer. So if you find this disease this early, if you are vigilant doing a self-breast examination, there'll be a very high cure rate. And breast cancer, it's very sad that these days, breast cancer is the #1 cancer in the whole world. And it's very sad because breast cancer is a disease which is treatable if caught early. If you catch the disease at the later stage, there are 5 stages, sonographically or radiologically. But if you catch disease after stage 4, it's very difficult to treat this disease because this disease spreads also very fast then. So if you catch this disease at very early stage, then you can easily treat the patient, and there'll be a very good cure rate also, which should be our focus. But now that you have to do your part, you have to go back home, teach your mom, teach the maid in your house, probably teach your friend, or call up your friend, long distance friend. Oh, I attended this seminar and I learned about self-breast examination. This is your part now. You have to take this campaign forward from here, and you have to teach one woman when you go back from here. And definitely, I'm telling you, you're going to save at least one life. So it's going to be a good feeling. Go share this breast examination. If you've not done your annual screening, get yourself checked, get yourself scanned, and be secure about the fact that nothing's happening in my breast if you have any of the symptoms of which I just told. All right, moving ahead, one of my last topics, but I feel it's really important for me to discuss here because we're all busy and occupied with a work life. And this is one problem, depression, anxiety, which a lot of young women are facing. And I feel that I should just quickly address to this fact also. It is that important and common, but not talked about, that Time magazine is covering on its cover page, So there is severe problem about the mental health status, that people are suffering from a lot of anxiety attacks and depression, and they really can't talk about it even to the bestest of friends, even to the go-to person, and this is a very good campaign which was published in 2018 and suggested that even when you're in a lift, even when you're in toilet doing your lipstick breaks, or you're hiking up on a mountain, talk about it, talk about what's going on in your mind to any one person. You can even talk to a person you don't know, but you will be out and all about it, fine, okay, the day was very bad, it was pathetic, you're going back in an auto rickshaw back to your PG, and talk to the auto driver, but talk about it. And if you start making this change, if you are suffering from some kind of anxiety, I'm sure the other person will come up and help you in some kind of bit, or make you aware that, dude, okay, this is not right. You need a counseling session, or you need a right person to talk about, so that you are then getting more vigilant. Because see, a person who is suffering from depression and anxiety never will agree to the fact that I am suffering from so. All right. So you lend an ear and give a chance, give time to change, and talk about these things anywhere. Toilet, mountain, hiking, biking, swimming, wherever possible. Just talk about it. Some sad facts stated by WHO that 4.5% of India's population is suffering from depression currently. And 40.5% of corporate employees in India suffer from depression. The government estimates that about 1 in 5 people in the country need counseling, either psychological or psychiatric. And 36% of Indians are likely to suffer from major depression at some point in their lives. 36% is a big number, friends. So support this campaign. And suicide is the second leading cause of death because of depression
in the age group of 18 to 29 years of age group. So that is the age group. You can make a difference. The people who are listening to me today, I'm sure you're going to lend a year from now on, right? And last fact which I want to state is nearly 38.5% of corporate employees are sleepless. They don't sleep. They sleep less than 6 hours a day. And that is leading to depression, hypertension, diabetes. So these are some things which you should keep in control. So a tip for you to take home from today is there's a phone. I'm not going to quote the phone, but there's a phone who has a Zen mode in it. And I thought this is a lovely concept. Why can't we have a Zen mode in our lives? Every 2 hours for 10 minutes, can we just shut everything out and just meditate or listen to some good music, our favorite song, or talk to the person we love, or just send a text to, not send a text, don't use your phone, do something you like, do something which makes you happy, or just do nothing, sit without thinking and just enjoy that peace. I want you to inhabit this Zen mode in your day-to-day lives, because I know that, my life, your life is super hectic, and we are having our targets and goals, we have to achieve, do something in life, be fabulous. We all are going to be there. Trust me, we're going to get there in time. But this Zen mode will help you achieve this in a more quality way. And definitely you will have a marked improvement in your life. So every 2 hours, if you can just shut down your phones, just shut down your social media and log out for 10 minutes and see, it will make a difference. It will help you recover from this depression also. It will help you in sorting your anxiety attacks also. Give that time to yourself, do nothing. I feel I usually do nothing, or I put in a favorite song of mine, and I give myself a 10 minutes break. So it does help. So tell me if it's helped you, right? So Zen mode, yeah. So this was a question which was asked to me, and I always include this: what you need to remember from here on, what you need to do for yourself. So every year you need to do what? You need to get a clinical breast examination by your doctor. Every month you need to do a self breast examination on your own. Okay, even if you don't have a finding, go to your gynecologist, go to a doctor you trust, get yourself a clinical breast examination. Is when your doctor palpates your breast. Get your blood pressure checked and get some routine blood tests like thyroid, I told you, is very common, sugar, blood pressures and normal CVC counts. Screen yourself for STDs if you are sexually active. Vision screening is very important since we're living time of virtual everything, so we need to get our vision screening also done every yearly. Every 2 to 3 yearly, you should get your ultrasound of your pelvis or a pelvic examination from a gynecologist, or a pap smear also. It's very good. It's a good habit every 2 to 3 years to get a pap smear. Every 5 years, get your blood sugar and cholesterol testing done. Women are more prone to developing higher cholesterol levels, if you want to know. So start at the age of 20, because from the 20 years, you can control all your diseases. All right. But if you delay it till 30, 35, it can be a little late for you, and you'll have to take lifelong medications. If needed, get yourself a skin check also done from a derma, because we all want good, don't we? All right. So the common health topics which I covered today were pregnancy, contraceptions, breast cancers, menstrual issues. So now that you have knowledge and you are aware of the fact, you should remember that you should, inhabit this lifestyle changing tips like the Zen mode, like eating good food. I know junk food is tasty and easily available. Avoid the 3 C's, like told by Rujita Tawakar, caffeine, chocolate, and cold preserved food. I know it's very difficult. It's very difficult, but try to make a difference in your life, and give yourself a gift: yearly checkup to your doctor. Find a doctor you can talk about it and trust. Now doctors don't have to be 80 years old and you can't talk about their issues. You have young doctors. Find a doctor you trust. Find a doctor you can talk things about, and go give yourself. Every year I give myself a birthday gift. On my birthday week, I go consult a doctor I myself, because I need to confine into my doctor also. Know your family history. That is one thing in India people are lacking. They don't know their family history, that what is running, what diseases are running predominantly in their family. so that you will be always on a high alert. All right, I need to be aware of these things, these symptoms, and I should get myself checked. It's very important for you to know that what line of diseases are running in your family, because 99% of diseases now are treatable. So don't worry about the fact, oh my God, what will happen to me? But get more vigilant and more aware. So I hope that, with this checklist, you will understand that regular health checkups are a must. Finding a doctor you trust is a must, and understanding your family history is very important, very crucial. So now no one will tell me, oh, no one told me, what will I do? No one told me, I didn't know about this disease. I didn't know about contraception. My best friend told me to take a pill. No. Now you are more aware. You're aware of your body status. You're aware of the symptoms you need to look for, aren't we? So make your health a priority. Know your lists, risks, and check yourself. Check yourself monthly. Keep yourself first. Again, coming back to this question, who are we? Are we all going to say that we are more aware now, we are healthy, we are happy? Yes, I feel so, that the smiles on your face are telling me that you feel more aware, more healthy, more connected to yourself, right? So help me empower other women by going home and teaching whatever I taught you today. I hope I was very simple and in very basic terms. I've explained you everything. If you can help me, continue this good social initiative. Go back home, teach any one friend, one sister, mama, mossy, whoever you want. Teach them about what you learned today. Teach them about self-examination. That is one thing which will really make a difference. And pass on this information. So at last, I want